I'm horror author Paul Edwards. Tonight I'm watching Let's Scare Jessica to Death from 1971, a drive-in horror movie if there ever was one. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. From that title, you would think that this was a movie about two or more people that are plotting to drive Jessica insane to the point where she has a heart attack and dies. Because let's scare Jessica to death sounds like something one conspirator would say to another. Well, that's completely misleading. There's nothing like that going on in this movie. There is a character named Jessica, and she's certainly scared, and she has good reason to be. She and her husband have bought a farmhouse in a small town filled with extremely hostile locals. She and her husband move into this farmhouse together with a friend of theirs. And when they get to the farmhouse, they discover that there's a squatter who's been living in the empty house because she says she thought it was abandoned. This hippie young woman named Emily. And Jessica is enchanted with this stranger, Emily, and of all things, asks her to stay on and be their guest at the house. Meanwhile, Jessica's mental state is clearly unbalanced. The audience is able to hear voices that Jessica hears in her head, usually critical, sniping voices, making unpleasant remarks to her as she's going about her day. So we know that her mental state is not great, and we also know that she previously has been committed because of her mental state. So, of course, she's an unreliable narrator. But as the story progresses, we discover that there's a mystery about this farmhouse. 100 years ago, there was a young woman named Abigail who lived in this farmhouse and who drowned in the nearby lake. And when a portrait of the family is found in the house, wouldn't you know, Abigail, the woman who drowned 100 years ago, looks suspiciously like Emily, the squatter who they found hanging out in the house. From here, the story develops to a pattern of events where Jessica starts to believe that something supernatural is going on. And maybe their friendly hippie squatter friend, Emily, is not just a modern day hippie, but is actually a 100-year-old vampire who's been hanging out at the house all this time in the hopes that someone would come along and move into it. Also, the locals in this town are extremely hostile. And it's a common trope in horror movies for the local population of townspeople to be hostile to the visitors because they're afraid of trouble being stirred up. But in this movie, they take it a notch above. The townspeople are almost vicious in their treatment of the main characters. And strangely, all of the town people are bandaged in one way or another. Could that be connected to the lore that there's a vampire lurking in this house? Maybe. The problem in this movie is that as it progresses, we're not clear on whether the events that are happening are just Jessica's delusions because she really is losing her mind, or if these are objectively true things that are happening that Jessica is observing and having extreme reactions to. Two things can both be true. It's possible that Jessica is insane and something supernatural really is going on in this town. And there's one telling scene where Jessica is not on the canvas, where an antique dealer that they met recently is out fishing on a boat and seemingly is attacked in the lake. And this is not something that Jessica observes for herself. So the viewer would think that this is something that is objectively true and really happened in real life. But it could also be that this is just a scene that Jessica is imagining, because later she finds the antique dealer's dead body. Then when she brings her husband to come and look at it, of course, the body is gone. And later still in the movie, we find that the antique dealer is alive and well back in the town, along with all the other hostile townspeople. I wish I could say that I have a spoiler alert for you now, and I'm going to tell you the truth about the ending of the movie and whether this was all in Jessica's head or whether this was really true events that were happening to her. Unfortunately, the movie never makes that clear for us. We never are given a solid answer as to, is Jessica insane or are these things really happening? My best guess, just as a viewer, I don't know this to be true, but my best guess is that both things are true. Something supernatural is happening in this town, and Jessica is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And so at any given moment in the film, we're not sure which of these factors is causing what we're seeing. Is this a delusion of Jessica's, or is it something supernatural that's really coming true? So I'm not crazy about that aspect of the film. This film is known and noted for its slow, haunting atmosphere. This is not a movie that's full of jump scares. This is a psychological thriller, a slow, plodding almost psychological thriller. It absolutely has creepy atmosphere. If that's the kind of movie you're looking for, Let's Scare Jessica to Death is worth catching. If you're a very left-brain person, though, who needs a concrete answer as to, it has to be either A or B that's happening here, the movie is going to frustrate you because it never gives you that conclusion. There is one aspect of this film I'm not crazy about, and that is that at any given moment, because you're not sure what is real and what is Jessica's fantasy, it can be confusing to the audience member what is happening right now. And generally, that's something to avoid when you're in the world of fiction. You want the audience to always wonder what is going to happen. Absolutely, you want the audience to wonder what is going to happen. But you never want the audience wondering what is happening right now. You never want the audience to just look at the screen, shaking their heads going, huh? Because they don't even fathom what the events are that are unfolding. Because your audience is going to lose interest that way. And that's never to your advantage. Sorry, I'm swiping away a phone call. The real world is trying to interfere with me making this video. How rude of them. So, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. Major drive-in horror movie. This is something that would go good on a double bill with The Grave of the Vampire or Terror at Red Wolf Inn, something like that. One of those early 70s drive-in horror movies. And it's an excellent watch for a midnight movie. Because if you're half awake, that's perfect, the perfect mindset to be watching this, because you're not sure if you're dreaming sections of it or not. So is it worth seeing? Absolutely. Is it going to give you a satisfactory answer? No, it's not. You'll have to come up with the answer on your own. Listen, if you enjoy 20th century horror and classic monsters, you should check out my book series, the Mourner's Woods books. I'm self-published on Amazon. I've written a series of novels that all take place in a haunted forest. And in each book, a completely new cast of characters enters this forbidden wilderness and encounters a new supernatural or unworldly threat. My books, again, are the Mourner's Woods books. They're available on Amazon. My name is Paul Edwards. Thanks for letting me talk to you about Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.